に、リュウズさんのお母さんってすごく大変だったんじゃ。
Ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion of this arc has officially come, as did I multiple times while watching this episode. What we just saw was the culmination of 2 entire seasons spent building up a character. Ever since the moment Beatrice was introduced, I just wanted her to be happy. Every scene always left me feeling bad for her, but finally this episode officially ended her 400-year losing streak. From now on, Beatrice will never be lonely again because she just became Subaru's contract spirit. And unlike Puck, she isn't buying milk anytime soon. Of course, there's always the possibility that Subaru might die. However, with Beatrice at his side, I'd say he's got about a 99.9%, repeating of course, chance of survival. This was the episode where real men cried. Thankfully, I had my tissues ready, and this time, they weren't for Elsa. But speaking of Elsa, this episode had some massive Tomozaki-sized cut content. In the light novel, Elsa survived last episode and was supposed to die this episode. When Beatrice teleported Subaru out of the library, he got attacked by Elsa's living corpse. Her legs were destroyed, so she crawled around like a zombie from Black Ops. What happened next was about the same as we saw in the episode, except Elsa was supposed to be chasing after Subaru until finally she burns to death after he shuts the door on her. I don't normally complain about cut content, I just feel like Elsa deserved a better death than being flattened by a decapitated hippo. But at least we can finally say, Elsa is flat. The mansion burning to the ground was breathtaking to look at, although symbolically it represents the permanent progress our characters have made. In Emilia's case, her vulnerability is gone forever, and the pathetic, fragile character she used to be burnt away with the mansion. That's why it was so satisfying to watch her scolding Roswaal. His pitiful condition was very reminiscent of the old Emilia from earlier this season, so that scene almost felt like Emilia not only disciplined Roswaal, but also rectified her past self. Her character's development has reached incredible heights, and I'm so proud of how far she's come. If we remember that Emilia wants demi-humans to be treated as equals, she took a big step in the right direction by liberating the sanctuary and granting the demi-human residents the freedom to merge with the outside world. Or should I say,
cultural cross-pollination.
But unfortunately, the blizzard made it too dangerous for anyone to actually leave the sanctuary, so as usual, Blizzard ruined everything. I want to applaud Roswaal's voice actor for his amazing performance. I know this episode's highlight was obviously Beatrice, but don't sleep on Roswaal. Yep, now both maids are asleep. I want to point out that Roswaal has reverted to using the pronoun boku, which as you probably know is only used by younger men, which highlights how little Roswaal has actually grown despite him being 400 years old. I thought it was obvious that Roswaal took orders from the gospel because he wanted to reunite with Echidna. I mean, who wouldn't? But some of you in the last video's comment section were confused about his objective, so if I were to put it simply, Roswaal's goal is to get witch or die trying. Thus, he secretly activated his weather magic before the fight with Rom and Puck, but had to keep the spell active even during the fight, which left him vulnerable enough for Puck to overpower him. And without his gospel, Roswaal was completely lost. What he felt was a mix of desperation, anguish, and confusion. With nowhere left to turn, he could only pray that Rom survived. If she died, then he would truly have nothing to live for. But the most disgusting thing about Roswaal is how even as he cradles Rom's motionless body, literally dying in his arms, all he can think about is the gospel. His yellow eye starts throbbing. In the light novel, he notes that if it continues, he'll stop being himself, which pretty much confirms that Hector is in there somewhere. We also learned how Roswaal survived for 400 years as a mere human. Some of Echidna's forbidden knowledge was her method of transferring souls, which Roswaal uses to possess his descendants. So for the past 400 years, Roswaal has been forcefully shoving his soul into the body of his children without their consent. Sounds very illegal, and yes, for those of you wondering, Roswaal did sometimes live as a woman. Puck also tells Roswaal that no matter what, he's still a human who will never be like Hector. But if Puck knew about Hector, why didn't he warn us about Roswaal in Season 1? Well, in Frozen Bonds, we learn the terms of Puck's original contract with the person that created him, which included his memories being erased if he got too close to Emilia. So this whole time we've known Puck, he hasn't had his memories. However, now that his contract with Emilia is broken, Puck might have his memories back and might also have many of the answers we've all been searching for. But the one thing he doesn't have is milk. So yet again, he disappears faster than Regulus could say, Maya Sakamoto voicing Ryuzu Shima. What could that possibly mean? Well, here's my theory. Ryuzu's voice actor caught the Rona, so Echidna's voice actor had to step in to cover for her.
Omega Lord.
In the past 2 episodes, both of the Gospels Echidna left behind have burnt to ashes, and with them, her legacy was destroyed. The reason that's a big deal is because Echidna's Gospels were responsible for 99% of the conflict this season, so the entire time Subaru was indirectly battling against Echidna. In the web novel, Season 2 is titled The Eternal Contract, referring to Beatrice. Breaking that contract this episode solidified Echidna's defeat. Subaru won, and his prize was an adorable new contract spirit. This is something that's been foreshadowed since the very first episode of Season 1, and that shows how well planned and coherent the ReZero story is. Beatrice and Subaru have the same affinity for shadow magic, making them a perfect match, and looking back now, it was very obvious that they were meant for each other. But let me clarify, because I know some of you are gonna take it the wrong way. Subaru loves Beatrice, but it isn't romantic love. Subaru loves Beatrice like a little sister, and not the kind that writes light novels. For the remainder of ReZero, Beatrice will accompany Subaru hand in hand throughout the rest of his journey, and that makes me extremely happy. I'm also happy that Crunchyroll didn't pick the wrong subtitles. This was one of the best scenes in ReZero, and I respect how detailed it was. For example, the gospel being covered in tears because it was the source of the tears, and the burn marks on Subaru's hands that showed us viewers and Beatrice that he was willing to suffer for her. But nothing made me happier than when she dropped that gospel like it was a banned Dr. Seuss book. Their exit from the burning mansion was beautiful, and in my opinion, the highlight of the episode was Frederica's outfit. Was when Beatrice said Subaru's name.
Subaru. 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 Subaru.
Words cannot describe how good it felt to finally hear that, and they arrived at the sanctuary like absolute gigachads. That entrance was stunning, as was the entire episode. This episode was a 10 out of 10. I was so impressed I had to log onto my Smurf Mal account just to give this episode a 10 twice. But as for next week's episode, I want to warn everyone not to skip the ending because I think there might be an after credits scene. My favorite moment in the entire web novel is supposed to be adapted next week, and in my opinion it would fit well as an after credits scene, so if that's the case, I want to make sure you guys don't miss it by accident. And speaking of accidents, if you accidentally forgot to give this video a like, I would really appreciate it if you guys would dick slap the like button as hard as you fucking can. Thanks everyone for watching. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter, but most importantly, keep talking about ReZero. I'm out for now. Peace out.